Page 155, Parshat Beshalach. Let's start reading. We are now, the Jewish people left Egypt, right? Finally they left Egypt. And now the Torah tells us what happened when the Jews left Egypt. We'll read the first verse, first of all.
When Pharaoh sent away the people, Elohim did not lead them by way of the land of the Philistines, although it was the shortest route. For Elohim said the people might change their mind should they encounter war and return to Egypt.
Then what's the story? The story is that God took him in a roundabout way because he didn't want them to go to the Palestine land because they might ever fight the Philistines. Might. And they want to go back to Egypt. Right?
Why this name? This is a restrictive.
What name?
Elohim?
Elohim. Why name Elohim?
Elohim. Because that's restrictive. That's more of Teva. That's judgment.
No, first of all, like this. What happened here? I heard from the Rebbe an amazing thought about this verse. God said maybe the Jews will not, the Israelites will not be able to handle it, and therefore he didn't take him in this way. It was just a maybe, right? Wasn't for sure. The Rebbe said that teaches us that when God takes you on a certain path, he knows for sure that you have the strength to deal with it. Because if it would just be a maybe, that you cannot handle it, he wouldn't take it. Penny Nochemo, maybe the people might change their mind. Might, not for sure. Maybe. You already didn't take him in this way. That every path that Hashem takes you, He gives you the strength to deal with the challenges. It's just a matter of discovering in ourselves the challenges to deal with it. Because if it would be a chance, a maybe, a might that we cannot, a might be that we cannot handle it, He wouldn't take us down. Now, what is the story of the Philistines? 10 years before that, the Medrash says, the children of Ephraim tried to leave Egypt. Because according to their calculation, the time of the redemption has arrived. Why? Because it's written in the book of Genesis, God told Abraham that after 400 years you'll leave Egypt. You'll be strangers in a foreign land for 400 years. According to their calculation, it was from the day God spoke to Abraham. It's 400 years. Then 10 years before that, arrived 400 years, they wanted to leave. The people, the leaders at that time told them not to go. Everybody told them don't do it. They still decided to do it. A big group of them went, and they were fighting with the police, who was on the border police. They were able to leave Egypt, but they went to Israel. They had a war with the Philistines. Some were killed, and some ran back. The bodies, the remains of the Jews who were killed by the Philistines were still laying on the road. That God was afraid that if the Jews would go on the same way and they'll see what happened to their brothers, they will run back to Egypt. That's why God didn't take him in this way. Took him in a roundabout way.
Out of curiosity, I mean, you've got a definite contrast to what happened later, of course, when they're commanded to go in and conquer the Canaanites. What's kind of the difference here? Is that the Philistines were stronger than the Canaanites?
Maybe it was a different place, a different part of the way.
Or was it that they needed 40 years and a new generation to get the courage? Or
no, maybe it was I don't know what was on the way to Mount Sinai.
Well, no, that would have been much later, obviously. But it's
maybe the idea
issue.
was to go to Sinai first, to have Mount Sinai first, then to go to the land of Israel. And a simple answer is probably the Philistines were stronger, yes. Again, God, before they even get to the Philistines, they will see the bodies. God didn't say they will only see a war, they encounter a war, they will want to go back to Egypt. The beginning of the war, he didn't want them to start in a bad way.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it was more, look, they had later a war with the Amalekites, no matter what. They couldn't escape the wars. But God tried to make it in an easy way, to take them out without any problems.
The Amalekites were a small group, though, and obviously the Philistines were a much bigger group.
If the Jews were praying to God about the Amalekites and they were worried, obviously it was. If it's written to Torah, obviously they were something.
Mm-hmm.
They were not a bunch of nothings. But the Philistines were for sure a bigger crowd. Probably, I don't know. I cannot tell you for sure, but looks like.
Well, King David certainly had his problems trying to conquer them.
Yeah, but this is many years later.
Yeah, but I think just the 40-year trek through the desert strengthened them, and as you said, the new generation came up, and
plus they did Sinai.
No, but what his question is, God took them out from Egypt with the plan to take them straight to Israel. He didn't plan on 4 years. That if you didn't plan 4 years, and eventually they will enter the land of Israel, what are you afraid of a war? They will have to go to war. Maybe the first plan was that they will conquer the land by miracles without any war. According to the Medrash, if Moses would lead them to the land of Israel, it wouldn't be a war.
It would be permanent.
It would be like miracles, like everything by Moses. But Moses can make a miracle here too. The Palestine land is, you said that the name Elohim is Teva. That's taking them around and about. They shouldn't see a war. Obviously, it's within the frame of nature and not planning a miracle, so to speak. Because if you plan a miracle, what are you afraid of the Palestinians? I think that's why you need so much the Medrash who says to see, God didn't want them to see the bodies of the people who were killed, because that will break their strength, they bring them, they will get afraid, get fearful about it.
Oh, that also would be a reminder as to what happened.
That's what I'm saying, 10 years before.
And it's going to happen.
That's what he's waiting for us. He don't want to.
Yeah, but going into Israel and going to Mount Sinai are two separate things, because he could have still wanted to go to Mount Sinai and then afterwards directly to Israel.
Yeah.
I mean, because Mount Sinai is going to be the revelation. They haven't gotten to that point. How could they even appreciate?
Here he's talking about going to Israel. I don't know if the way to Palestine land, the roundabout was because of Mount Sinai. If they would go straight to the Palestine land, they wouldn't stop at Mount Sinai.
They could have picked a different mountain for Sinai too. I mean, God, it wasn't the mountain itself wasn't that special.
I think it was a specific place.
It's very specific.
If God revealed Himself at Mount Sinai to Moses and He told him, on this mountain you're going to see them,
it's pretty holy.
He could have revealed Himself on another mountain, obviously.
You're right, but I mean to say the bottom line is He chose this mountain, but no question that God took him out to the desert, and He says that this is the reason. And your question is a good question. Why was he afraid of this war more than any other war? Maybe after Mount Sinai they were ready for a war. Before Mount Sinai they were not ready for a war.
That's what I'm saying, because of the revelation.
I think that's what it's all about. He says now if they came to war they will lose it. First you have to make him into a nation, and then they can handle everything. And actually lost the war with the Amalekites. They asked if is God among us in this parshah. Because right after they end up to the war, God tried to save them from a war, and it didn't work, so to speak. They end up to have a war. But could be that that's the reason. God didn't want them before Mount Sinai, right away to have a war. They were not ready for a war. And after Mount Sinai, they can go. They'll be more stronger. They became a nation. They became not just a bunch of people who are coming out from Egypt, but a whole nation.
It's a lot of
Maybe.
people. I think in my mind, so you talk about 2 million or so people. It's just so many people. We don't think about it so much in our mind. But
You're right. It was a lot of people. 600,000 men between 20 and 60. Now take women and younger than 20 and older than 20. It was a big to do. No question about it. Okay, and so Elohim, go ahead, Tad.
And so Elohim led the people round about by the way of the Reed Sea desert. And the Bnei Yisrael went up armed from the land of Egypt. Moshe.
Okay, armed. They went armed from the land of Egypt. First of all, that's a proof maybe that we should have guns. They just left armed from Egypt. That's a literal translation, means to go out with weapon. Then comes Rashi from the Medrash, and he says that chamushim, it's not a normal word for the Bible to use for the word armed. There is other words to use for the word armed in Hebrew. That chamushim, when the Torah chooses a strange word, obviously there is more than one meaning. Then Rashi says, Echad mechamesh, 1 out of 5. If you look on page 157 in the Rashi, on page 157, underneath the line, the second line, an alternate explanation. You want to read?
Alternate explanation. 1 of every 5 men went out of Egypt, and 4/5 died during the 3 days of darkness.
Basically, there were many good Jews who didn't want to leave Egypt. Who didn't want to leave Egypt? 2 types of people. All the people who didn't believe in God, that it can happen such a miracle. They didn't believe, they didn't have this faith to go after Moses. All people were assimilated and didn't want to live just because Egypt was good. They were a part of the Egyptian culture. They didn't want to. But the more, even it could be religious people, so to speak, people who are very Jewish, but they don't have the faith, they don't have the strength in them to go to the desert after Moses. To leave Egypt, as we mentioned so many times, with matzahs, and to go to an unknown place, to a desert, took bags of faith, took an unbelievable level of trust in God to do such a thing. And that's why the prophet Jeremiah says, in the name of God, I remember to you, to the Jewish people, your kindness of your youth, that you had faith in me when I married you. So to speak, God is the husband, the Jewish people are the wife, and God marries us, and we went after God to the desert without knowing what's going to happen. Like a woman who goes after her husband, she tells him, let's go to Australia, I'll make money there. He's penniless, they have nothing, and she's leaving everything, she goes after him. This type of faith we demonstrated when we left Egypt. Then not everybody wanted to go. 1 out of 5 left Egypt, the other 4, I don't know what happened to them. They didn't leave, that's the bottom line. They assimilated.
How do we drive that from Hamoshim?
Chamesh, the word Chamushim means Chamesh, a fifth. A fifth left Egypt.
I see.
Obviously, we're reading into the text pretty heavily here. I mean, it's a
right.
Rashi interpretation, but even so, I mean, similar to what happened in the Holocaust. I mean, most people, stayed in all the countries. I mean, how many people even wanted to leave? I mean, as a percentage.
What do you mean before the Holocaust?
Yeah.
During Holocaust too.
Yeah. Before, during, you're right. People want to stay where they are. They don't like to leave.
Mm-hmm.
People don't
Go to the unknown.
People don't like change.
It's as a whole, and people don't like to leave. And he's going to leave his old mother. He's going to leave his sick sister. Is this? Well, you leave. Leave it takes a lot of strength to leave. You're right. That's the main reason why Jews left in Europe. They could make aliyah to Israel in the 30s. They could go to America. They knew it's a situation in Europe was not getting worse by the day. Everybody saw it. Everybody knew it. But we closed our eyes. We didn't want to see.
All the 6 million.
No, I mean, I don't blame them. It's the nature of people to leave. It's very easy to say, go to a different country. You're right. The same thing happened there. Chamushim, 1 out of 5 left. The rest stayed.
What happened to that group? I mean, they're still living in Goshen. I mean,
well, the people
they assimilated.
I think they assimilated. Here it says they died. I don't know, not necessarily physically died. Could be they spiritually died. Whatever happened to whole Egypt, the rest of the Egypt, I don't know what happened to them.
It's just like assimilation all over the world.
Yeah, what happens today? These people, many of them were assimilated before they left Egypt. So to speak, they were Egyptian, not Jews. They considered themselves Egyptian. They didn't want to leave. Mm-hmm. You can, and even the people left because the Egyptians chased them out of Egypt. That the Egyptians chased out the people who looked Jewish, who wanted to leave, but people were assimilated. Like the guy who spoke about Hitler's Jewish soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing I'm sure it was Pharaoh's Jewish soldiers. What do you think? Life is everywhere. What was in the time of the Hellenists, in the time of the Greeks? The chief of the army of Sancherib was a Jew. You ever heard of Sancherib, the king of the Syrian king?
Yeah.
You know what was the name of the chief of the army? Rav Shokei. Rav Shokei came and they had a siege around Jerusalem. Mm-hmm. He stood over the wall and he gave a speech in Hebrew.
Kind of like what
What do you
Josephus
think?
did
What do you
later.
think he went to school to learn Hebrew? He was a Jew who joined the Sancheriv army. He was the chief of the army. He wasn't like a schlepper. And obviously, there were many others. Not everybody makes it. When there is many people who join, one of them becomes the chief of the army. It's also it's a game of numbers. You understand? It's not like one joined the Sancheriv and he became the chief of the army. Probably thousands joined and one became the chief of the army. That the story of this story went on forever, and it starts here. Okay, page 157, number 19 in the text. Moshe took
the bones of Yosef with him, for Yosef had bound the Bnei Yisrael by oath, saying, Elohim will surely remember you, and then you will carry up my bones out of here with you.
Okay, what happened here? Everybody else was busy with what? What do the Jews were busy with?
With the gold and the jewelry.
The bake matzah and collecting gold and taking care of the suitcases and everything. The only one who was busy
Moshe.
with something serious was Moses. Moses was busy with going and picking up the coffin of Joseph, because he knew the promise that Joseph's coffin has to be taken. They cannot leave Egypt without Joseph's coffin. According to the Medrash, nobody knew where Joseph's coffin is. They went to ask an old lady who was still alive in Egypt. She remembered. Her name was Serach, the daughter of Hashem. She was the one, according to the Medrash, who told Jacob, she was a little girl, that Joseph is alive. And he gave her a blessing she should live long. That she live, and she left until the Jews left Egypt. According to the Medrash, whatever it was her daughter. The bottom line is they went to a very old lady and asked where Joseph is buried. And she said that she remembered that they took the coffin of Joseph and they put it in the river, because the Egyptians knew that that the Jews had a promise to leave Egypt, not to leave without Joseph's coffin. And here is a good way to make sure they cannot leave. The Medrash said Moses came to the Nile River, stood by the bank of the river, and he made an announcement. Joseph, Joseph, the time of the redemption has arrived. If you come up, if you show your coffin somehow, it's good, and if not, we are leaving. And the coffin started to come out to the water, and Moses took the coffin and carried it, and the Jewish people carried the coffin with them for 4 years in the desert. And when they entered the land of Israel, they buried it in Shechem. This is a place that Jacob bought, a piece of land that Jacob paid for, and in this place Joseph was buried. And according to people argue that they know where the gravesite of Joseph is. It's in Nablus, and many people go to pray there. It belongs to the Palestinian Authority. Every time there is a fight about it, and some people argue it is the grave of Joseph, people argue it's not the grave of Joseph. It's what many people believe it is.
Of course, Joseph's tribes, Ephraim and Manasseh, the northern tribes, their home base, so to speak, was in Shechem.
You're right. You're right. Then here, Moses is taking the coffin of Joseph, because Joseph promised, made him swear to take it. Page 158.
They journeyed from Sukkos and camped at Isom, at the edge of the desert. Adonai went before them by day in a pillar of cloud to lead them on the way, and at night in a pillar of fire to provide them with light, so that they would travel by day and by night. He did not remove the pillar of cloud by day, or the pillar at night.
The Jewish people had a perfect protection, a pillar of fire at night, a pillar. Since then they started to have the clouds to protect them, and for 40 years they had the clouds of protection. The whole reason for the holiday of Sukkot is to remember, one of the reasons, two explanations, but one of the explanations is to remember the miracle of the protection from the clouds of glory that was on them constantly. See, any other miracle in the desert was once, let's say the manna came once a day. The other thing, but this was a constant protection.
But the problem is that they couldn't see the stars through the cloud, could they?
No, they couldn't, probably
so
not.
We make a big thing
it was clear. It was probably clear. Why not? A cloud doesn't have to be a thick thing that you cannot see. I think it's written somewhere about Kiddush Levana, how they saw the new moon. They had to see the new moon. They have to count the months, right? God gave him a mitzvah to come
I thought
Rosh
maybe
Chodesh.
I thought they just stepped outside of the cloud to
Okay,
see.
that's one explanation. But maybe they were able. I think to read somewhere. I remember something that was clear, and they were able to see the stars.
But
The
the
movie-
cloud is by day.
No.
No, it's also, but it's also
Fire
it's a protection.
Okay, a fire by night make it light,
Fire in the cloud, right?
or a fire in
then
front
you can't
of
see the
them.
stars anyway. That way, if it's so bright. I mean, we
Well,
have
you turn
light
around.
pollution now.
Look the other way.
Exactly.
All the movies I've seen show it in kind of a pillar.
Yeah, right.
No, just because I mean, you know,
No, it was for sure something like a roof, something like a type of a thing that was protecting them.
I mean, because they didn't. I mean, they didn't practice the mitzvah
If I
of
remember,
sukkah.
so, no, for sure.
Because it would be redundant. They're under
We
the
talked
cloud,
about that, yeah.
and so I just didn't think that they could. See,
I think they were. I remember now to see somewhere that were able to see the stars.
okay.
They did. They were able to. Yes.
Okay.
I remember where I saw it, but I saw it somewhere. Okay, now we're getting to the hot stuff. Go ahead.
22.
14.
Yeah, 14.
Adonai spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to the Bnei Israel, and have them turn back and camp before Pi-ha-Sheres, between Migdol and the sea, facing Baal Zephon. Camp opposite it, near the sea.
Okay, basically God tells them, go back. You know, if I would leave Egypt, I wouldn't want to go back. Now Moses told all just let's go back, turn around. Right? That's what he told them.
Well, how do you?
We are shuvu.
How do you know it says turn
And
around?
turn back. Turn back. You know English? Turn
Where?
back.
Where are we?
Turn back. Right? Turn back means turn back. What should I tell you? Rashi says, and have them turn back, they kept moving nearer to Egypt. Go back to Egypt. And he says why? The entire third day. In order to mislead Pharaoh, so he might say, they are lost in the wilderness. That's what he says. It says on page 160, the text says. You want to read?
You want me to read number 3?
Yeah, please. Pharaoh
Pharaoh will then say of the Bnei Israel, they are confused in the land, the desert has trapped them in. I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and he will pursue them, and I will be glorified through Pharaoh and his entire army. Egypt will then know that I am Adonai. They, the Bnei Israel, did just that.
Okay, then what he says here, I will make Pharaoh staying in his heart, he will run after you, he will be beaten up, and then my name will be glorified. And Rashi says that when the enemies, when evil people are being punished, then the name of God is glorified.
It's like, you know,
Because it shows that there is justice in the world.
the whole concept of hardening Pharaoh's heart and making sure that he's a whipping boy, so to speak, that he keeps coming back for more.
Yeah.
And I guess every time he comes back, he's pounded down even harder. God could have done it in one fell swoop. Obviously, He didn't need to do it time and time and time again.
We spoke about it last week, is to show the world that there is a God.
Mhm.
There is reward and punishment.
But
There
he
is
could,
measure for measure.
he could have done it in one shot, though, so to speak. I mean,
It wouldn't be measure for measure.
No, more than that. To change a people's mind, it's a little bit, and a little more, and a little more, and a little more. It's a long process. For God to enter himself, to introduce himself to idol worshipping society, was a big job. Now, Abraham won the fight. All the religions believe in God, right? But then it wasn't like this.
so it was important to have 10 rather than 1.
Yeah, 10. And it was a long process. It was 6 months, according to some opinion. It was a year. It took a long time until they got it into their brains. And even then it didn't work. You see, they made a golden calf, and they won't. Next page, we'll read how much they doubt in God already.
So how was it that he's saying that the Pharaoh will see us being confused in the...
If you're going back, what does this mean? You're not confused? You lost your way.
Or they
Obviously,
change
you're
their
afraid.
mind.
Change your mind. No matter how it was, it means that you are lost in the desert and you want to go back to mommy. That's what it means.
I guess, or it could be, it's like the subterfuge they use to smuggle out the Rebbe going directly into Berlin.
Yeah.
The old doubling back trick.
Exactly.
What's doubling back?
Turn around and go back when they don't expect you.
You are.
Exactly.
That in
Hiding
every
in-
army, they do this kind of thing, right?
But wasn't the original agreement that they were going to leave for 3 days and then come back?
Mm-hmm.
Also, there's a point where Pharaoh says that it was supposed to have been only the males, which I don't remember ever Moshe saying to him that it was only males.
Yeah. No, Pharaoh said to Moses only males.
No, but he said that originally you asked for...
Moses, he doesn't say you asked for males.
Okay.
He asked them who should go.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you want to go pray, just need the males, right?
Right.
But how long had they been gone at this point in time?
You have a good question, mister.
I think it says.
Because if
You
it
say.
seemed to Pharaoh that they were coming back...
Then why should he run after them?
Oh, no, but this exceeded 3 days.
No, but look on page 159, Rashi number 2. Rashi says that the whole third day, they kept moving nearer to Egypt the entire third day, right?
Right, right.
That if they're going back, why is Pharaoh running after them? This is a very good question.
Maybe he knows it's a trick.
Because Rashi, in 2 minutes, will learn just the opposite. Let's read number 5 in the text, 161, number 5. We are page 161, number 5.
The king of Egypt was told that the people had fled. Pharaoh and his servants had a change of heart regarding the people, and they said, "What have we done? How did we release Israel from serving us?"
Okay, let's go back to page 161. We'll go to the Rashi. Number 5, Rashi number 5. The king of Egypt was told, read it.
The king of Egypt was told he sent officials along with them. Once they reached the point of 3 days' journey, which had been fixed for them to go and to return, and they, the officials, saw that they were not returning to Egypt, they came on the 4th day and told Pharaoh. On the 5th and 6th days, they pursued them, Pharaoh and on the night of the 7th, they went down into the sea. In the morning, they chanted the Shirah, and that day was the 7th day of Pesach.
Okay, let's stop right here. Then what happened on the third day? They went or they came back? What's going on? Look in the bottom, number 24, the bottom, page 161, bottom, the little small notes. Number 24, Mizrahi and Goraye asked. Your question, go ahead.
On the 3rd day, the Bnei Israel actually traveled back towards Egypt. Why, then, did the officials think that they were not returning?
Yeah.
Gur Aryeh answers, on the morning of the 4th day, the officials saw them setting up camp, and they realized they had no intentions of returning.
Aha. Then he's trying to work both stories out. On the third day, they traveled back to Egypt. But then they saw they are not really planning to come back. They said they parked themselves, basically.
Can I ask you one question? Why does it say the king of Egypt instead of Pharaoh? Is that something that you've heard anything about? Why?
No, I didn't.
It's
Maybe
just-
there is
it's the only
something
time I ever
there.
heard that, yeah.
Maybe there is something there.
Okay.
But I must say, then what happened here? Hashem told them to go back. And it was told to the king of Egypt that the nation ran away, fled. Even that there is an answer here. The answer is that they went back, but they didn't went all the way back. And therefore, Pharaoh, when Pharaoh heard from the Egyptian police that they are not planning to come back, they turned a little bit back, and then they parked there, and they stayed there. And Pharaoh heard that they are not planning to come back. He decided to run after them. But it's still a question. The question is better than the answer. Why, you're right, if they went back, why needed to be said, where is the proof that they run away if they're going back? If they're going back, that why should Pharaoh run after them to begin with? Obviously, Let's see what's written in the text itself.
Was it past 3 days?
They should turn around. Rashi said it was the third day. Basically, he saw them turning around, lost. At the end of it, he heard from his people that they say that they are not coming back. That he started to run after them. If it means like this, if they wouldn't be lost in the desert, Pharaoh might not run after them because he knows they know where they're going, they want to go, and it's over. He saw them lost. On the other hand, they don't want to come. Oh, that gave him a motivation to come and take them back. He said they are lost, that they are an easy prey. I'll take them back. It's not really a terrible contradiction, but...
But lo and behold.
Page 162. Yeah,
Number 6.
I think so.
Okay. He, Pharaoh, harnessed his chariot and took his people with him. He took 600 elite chariots and crews, and all the other chariots of Egypt, and commanders over all of them. Hashem hardened the heart of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and he pursued the Bnei Yisrael. The Bnei Yisrael went out high-handedly in triumph.
With the outstretched arm, the Jewish people are going. They are leaving Egypt with the full force. And the Egyptians get all excited. It's written that Pharaoh told his people, I will share with you all the spoil. I will fight with you like you. I'll be the first one to go to fight. He rallied up. All the rest of the country was still left. And he said, let's go, guys. We are going to bring them back.
It's interesting. I mean, we see the use of arm a lot in Egypt. Pharaoh's daughter is an outreached arm in a sense.
Oh, the hand.
The hand. Is there a connection between all these different...
It's an outstretched arm. That's why we put on Finland arm. It's the outstretched arm. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. Okay, we are in number 9. Go ahead.
The Egyptians pursued them and overtook them as they were encamped by the sea. There were,
Overtook them. An interesting translation. Overtook them. Overtook
It's like they
them.
walked like they won.
Where
Like
they
they
found
won.
this translation? Vayasigu otam means they chased after them and they reached them. Or kind of stopped them maybe. Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. As they go ahead, as they were...
encamped by the sea.
Mhm.
There were all Pharaoh's chariot horses, his cavalry, and his army at Pihahiros, facing Baal Zephon.
Was the name of an idol. Go ahead.
Pharaoh drew near, and the Bnei Yisrael looked up and beheld the Egyptians coming after them. They were very frightened, and the Bnei Yisrael called out to Hashem.
Okay, here it's something, now it's happening, the whole drama. The Jews thought that they were finished with Egypt. Egypt is after them. So what are they going to do now? Pharaoh drew near. Then the Medrash says, Pharaoh ikriv. Drew near, what does this mean? He draw near the Jews to God. He knew that what I mean to say is by him coming, there is a story about a rabbi and a taxi driver died together the same day they came to heaven. And they first call up the taxi driver and they tell him, you're going to heaven. The rabbi is waiting online. The rabbi starts to scream, what is this? What's going on here? I'm a rabbi, I taught too much Torah and this. This taxi driver, you call him first, he's going to heaven. I told him, Rabbi, what happened when you were giving sermons? People were sleeping, right? When this guy was driving, everybody was praying to God. That's what happened here.
That's a good one.
Paro ikriv. Paro brought closer the Jews to God. They saw Pharaoh and suddenly he pushed them closer to God, much closer than ever. They started to pray to God. Because really the regular Hebrew word should be Paro itkarev, got closer, karav. Ikriv is a strange. Ikriv means he brought somebody else closer. In the literal Hebrew translation, ikriv means Pharaoh moved something closer. He moved closer the Jews, so to speak. Where he moved them closer, then the Medrash says he moved them closer to Hashem. They saw Pharaoh, they started to pray big time. Then what is, the beginning was a good reaction. They were afraid, that was not such a good, very frightened. And the Bnei Israel cried out to God, called out to God, beautiful. Then starts number 11. Go ahead.
We said to Moshe, were there not enough graves in Egypt that you took us out to die in the desert? What have you done to us, bringing us out of Egypt?
What do you think about the sarcasm? There's not enough, Moshe, there's not enough graves in Egypt.
Really bold.
Since then Jews started to be sarcastic. You know, it's like, it's not enough in 1 minute. You brought us here to die? You know? That's what you brought us here for? Then the first part, pray to God, that's beautiful. But they really, what was the problem? The problem was they had to come to Moshe and tell him, Moshe, maybe pray for us. Well, they come to the guy going, how do you do that? Not enough graves in Egypt. You know, that's not the first test. It didn't work so well. Number 12.
This is the exact thing that we told you in Egypt, saying, leave us alone and let us serve the Egyptians. It would have been better for us to serve the Egyptians than we should die in the desert.
The right way reminded them. Don't you remember the first time when you came to us, he told you, leave us alone? And we blamed you that because your things get worse? Now he said, better to walk in Egypt. That's always the Jewish people approach. We'll suffer here. There, it could be worse, right? Better to, they told them, isn't this who needed this whole journey, this whole excitement? Look where we're ending up.
Excuse me, is it recorded that they actually said that earlier in Torah, or?
Yeah, that's what Rashi, first of all, Rashi points it out. Rashi points out on page 165, number 12, look the Rashi. The bottom, read it.
That we told you in Egypt. Mm-hmm. Where was it that they told him, let God look at you and judge?
Right? I mean, that's clearly, I'll show you where he's talking about. Page 54. It opened right there. Top of page 54, the first line. Let Hashem look at you and judge. You have made our aroma.
Abhorrent.
That they complained to. Turn another page back, you will understand what happened there. What happened? They made Pharaoh said you are lazy, therefore you left to collect the amount of make the same amount of bricks and collect the straw, right? Then they came to complain to Pharaoh. They came out, they saw Moses. Then what they said, they saw Moses, right in number 20. They met Moshe and Aaron. What they told them, they said to Moshe and Aaron, God will judge you for making things worse, right? Obviously, they told them, what are you giving us to us? And even later, in the beginning, on page 59, in page 59, number 9, it's in the bottom of the text of page 59, it's written, Moshe spoke to the Bnei Israel.
But they would not listen to Moshe because of their distress and hardship.
Basically, they didn't want to hear him. Now they told him, who needed you? We told you, leave us alone. Even more, even when it's not written that they said it before, that's alone that they say, we told you in Egypt, is good enough, you understand? The Torah, many times, you not read the same thing twice. Here we know what they told them in Egypt. We have many things like this in the Bible, that only later you read what happened before. For example, in the story of Joseph, when Joseph was thrown into the pit, we don't read anything that he complained, that anything. Only later, when the brothers stand in front of the ruler, and they talk to each other in Hebrew, they said it's all because and we throw Joseph in the pit, and he begged us, and we didn't listen to him. Mm-hmm. Then the first time we know that they begged us is from their conversation, recalling a story that happened 22 years before that, right? That even here, if it wouldn't be written anywhere that they told us, leave us alone, that's that they told it to Moses, and Moses didn't say, you're liars, I never heard that from you. That alone is the proof that that's what happened. Especially that there is proofs for it in the text too. I'm just saying, many times in the Bible, only later you read stories. For example, in Deuteronomy, it's written about the story of the spies, and it's written, oh, you all came to me and you begged. The story of the spy itself, in the text, in the book of Numbers, it's not written that they came the congregation of Israel came to Moses to demand to send spies. I mean, there is many, many examples of this in the Bible, that only later you read what happened before, in such a way. In any case, what happened on page 1, where are we? Oh, page 166, number 13. That's what they complained. Now would Moses answer them?
Moshe said to the people, "Do not be afraid. Stand firm, and you will see the deliverance of Adonai, which he will perform for you this day. For the Egyptians you have seen this day, you will never see. Never again see them, even to eternity."
Here is the only time, the first time, that the whole nation heard basically that they're leaving for Egypt for good. They told Pharaoh all the years that they're going, all the time that they're going for 3 days, right? Now it couldn't be that only Pharaoh did know the secret that they're leaving. They borrowed the goods from the Egyptian. What means they borrowed? Obviously you're coming back, right? If not, why should they borrow you? Tell me, give me. Don't tell me borrow me. They came, they said, we are going for a party for 3 days. We need the best clothing. You have a piece of jewelry. I need a pair of pants. I need a dress. I need this. They gave you, for 3 days I'll give you. You come back. It means that the old Jewish people, at least the nation, the regular crowd, had no clue, or at least didn't know for sure that they're living for good. Because if 2 million Jews, or 600 million, 1,000 Jews, or 50 Jews know something, it's not a secret anymore. That if they would think that they're living for good, Pharaoh would also think they live for good. That Pharaoh thought that they're living for 3 days, obviously everybody was thinking that they're living for 3 days. This is the first time Moses tells them, hey, by the way, I have some news for you. You're leaving Egypt now, for good, you'll never see them again, because they will be drowned and they'll be over. Go ahead.
Well, we see several times where Moshe is told things by Hashem, but doesn't reveal it till later.
As we spoke about the Shabbos,
yeah.
A few times. We see it in the story from the manna. We see it in the story. We see it many times.
And this is another example. No, I'm just asking that Moshe was told by Hashem.
But he basically kind of God gave him the privilege to decide when is the right time to tell it to the Jewish people.
Mm-hmm.
He told him to tell them, but he didn't tell them, go run now and tell them that now. Moses felt what should be said now, what should be said later. And as we spoke on Shabbos, that he didn't tell them about eating matzah only until after they left Egypt. When you look in the text, Hashem told it to Moshe before they left Egypt. Moshe told it to the Jewish people after they left Egypt.
Although we know with the first Seder that they do eat matzah.
So, now, after they left Egypt, Moshe told them that they have to eat matzah for 7 days. What's the contradiction?
Nothing. No, but I mean, they were told to eat the matzah for the first Seder.
In Egypt?
Yeah.
It's not written anywhere.
It isn't?
No. If you can show me, I'll be...
No, because I thought they did eat.
That's a whole discussion. Where is written that they eat matzah?
Okay.
It's not written anywhere. And more than that, if they eat matzah, why they were planning to bake bread?
I don't know. But there was a whole discussion I read before that it's a different matzah than we would eat for Passover or whatever. I don't know.
My friend, that's a whole thing. I said it Shabbos, but I couldn't go into this whole mess. But the bottom line is, in the regular text, you cannot see that Moses told them to eat matzah.
Okay.
It's written that Hashem told it to Moses. Moses told them only about the Passover lamb, and he didn't tell them anything. And they left Egypt, and they were in a rush. They planned to bake bread. They didn't have time. They better bake matzah. Later, by the end of the parshah, Moses tells the Jewish people, oh, by the way, Hashem told you to eat matzah. If you want, I can show it to you in the text, and you'll see it. You'll not have to believe me, because you'll be able to see from your own. No, better off if you don't believe me.
Okay, I won't believe.
I think I saw it too, Mark. Unleavened. Yeah.
On page 123, actually 124, it's a continuation of God telling Moses from the beginning. It was on Rosh Chodesh Nisan. The beginning of the speech that God gives Moses is on page 112. If you want to look just for a minute. Hashem said to Moshe and Aaron in the land of Egypt, this month shall be to you the head of the month, right? That was this month he was speaking on Rosh Chodesh, as Rashi says, he saw them the beginning of the month. Turn to page 124, that's a continuation of the same speech. And Hashem tells them, this day shall be to you as a day of remembrance. And now you're going to celebrate it at page 125 in top. You must eat matzah for 7 days. But before the first day, you must remove all leavened bread, right? Then God gives them exact dates. On number 16, page 126, number 16, the first day shall be a holy assembly, and the 7th day. And then he says, in turn to page 128, he tells them in number 18, page 128, number 18, in the first month, on the 14th day of the month, in the evening you shall eat matzah, until the 21st day of the month. Clear, right? Very clear. Before they left Egypt. And then on page 129, number 19, for 7 days, you should not eat chometz. And then turn to page 130, God finishes his lecture. You must not eat anything is chometz. In all your dwellings you shall eat matzah, right? Beautiful. Now on page 131, Moses calls the Jewish people, and what is he telling them? Take a lamb, put the blood, turn to page 132, do not go out from your house, God will kill the firstborn of the Egyptian. On page 133, he says, he continues with this, and he speaks all about the Passover lamb. In number 27, you shall say, this is the Pesach offering because, and he finishes his speech by page 133, number 28, is the end of Moses' words. The Bnei Israel went indeed as Hashem commanded Moshe and Aaron. Not a word about matzah.
So the
right?
so,
One second.
So the mitzvahs were-
1 second. Not a word about matzah. Only about the Passover lamb. Then comes the story on page 135. Then Pharaoh came and they killed the firstborn. And on page 137, he told them, go out quick. 137, number 33. The Egyptian pressed the people to hurry them. He sent them out of the land. The people took the dough before it was leavened, right? Page 138, the leftovers and wrapped in the clothing. I didn't have time. And then on page 139, number 39, they baked the dough that they brought out from Egypt into matzah's cake, for it was not leavened. Why? Since they were driven out of Egypt and they could not delay. They had also not prepared food, right? Then why they eat matzah? Because they didn't have time, not because they had matzah ready in the boxes.
So then why do some people...
One second. Now we'll go to page 146. 146, number 51. The story goes, and at that very day Hashem took out the Jewish people out of Egypt in the multitudes, right? Took them out from Egypt. Hashem tells Moses, sanctify the firstborn, right? Number 2, sanctify to me all the firstborn. Okay, Moshe is going to tell the Jewish people what Hashem told them, page 147. Moshe said to the people, instead of telling them to sanctify the firstborn, he starts a whole monologue. Remember this day on which day you came out from Egypt. And then in number 4 he says, on this day you're going out in the month of Nisan, the month of... page 148. Page 149. What is he telling on page 149? For 7 days you must eat matzah. Really? Moses didn't say it to the Jewish people before they left Egypt.
So where is it derived that they ate matzah then? Where's that argument?
Too complicated.
I have one question about the mitzvahs.
Because it says the remaining, they took the remains with them. The remains of what?
The dough.
Of chametz, the remains from last night, so to speak. And through this we learned that was matzah. But it's not in the text, it's not written the day of matzah. What did you say? I'm sorry.
No, I didn't.
No, I was asking about...
But
Because we were reading this before God gave the commandments to Moses to give to the people, right?
Mhm,
That was before the Paschal lamb. He started off,
Mhm.
and one of them was talking about the matzahs, right?
Exactly.
So the people knew about matzahs before.
No,
the
they
Passover?
didn't. That's the whole point.
Moshe didn't tell them.
God told Moses 3 mitzvahs. The mitzvah number 1 is to have a Rosh Chodesh, to start to count Jewish month.
Right.
Mitzvah number 2, to make a
Make
Passover
Passover.
lamb. Mitzvah number 3, to eat matzah for 7 days. Moshe only chose to tell them one mitzvah. It's understood. The first mitzvah is basically up to the Beit Din, to sanctify the new month. It's not a mitzvah for everyone to know, to do, at this point. Mitzvah number 2, he told them about the Passover lamb. Mitzvah number 3, he didn't say anything. And not only this, in the end of the parashah, after they left, it's written that he said it. Now Moses says it. Obviously, he didn't tell them that before. That Hashem told it to Moses before they left Egypt. Moses told them before the Passover night. Moses told them after the Passover night. The same thing we see now, Parsha. Hashem told Moses when he gave them the manna that they should observe Shabbat, and they therefore on Friday will be a double portion of manna. Let's go there because we'll never make it there this today anyway, because we'll never. On page 201, number 4, when he speaks about the manna, you want to read, Mr. Lawyer?
Adonai said to Moshe, Behold, I will make bread rain from the heaven for you, and the people shall go out and
Page
gather,
202. Yeah.
and gather enough for each day, that I may test them to see if they will walk in the way of my teaching or not. On the 6th day, when they prepare what they bring home, it will be twice as much as they gather every other day.
He told them that Friday will be twice, right? Look what Moshe says to the Jewish people. Continue. Mark, you want to continue?
Sure. Moshe and Aaron said to all Bnei Yisrael, in the evening you will know that it is Adonai who brought you out from the land of Egypt, and in the morning you will see the glory of Adonai.
Okay, you could go to page 205.
Then Moshe said, what Adonai gives you meat to eat in the evening and a filling meal of bread in the morning, Adonai will hear your complaints that you cause complaints against him. What are we? Your complaints are not against us, but against Adonai. Moshe said,
Basically, Moshe only told them Hashem is going to give you food every day. Then it started to come. On page 208, came the manna. Page 208, number 15, the Bnei Israel saw it.
The Bnei Israel saw it and said to the other, It is a food, for they did not know exactly what kind it was. Moshe said to them, This is the bread that Adonai gives you to eat.
Yeah.
This is what Adonai has commanded. Each man shall gather his requirement of food, an omer per person, according to the number of your people, shall each man take produce in his tent.
Okay, what Moshe tells them, take every day what you need to take for the day. Now it doesn't. Oh, they asked him, what is it? He says, God sent you bread. It's one day. Not a word of anything. Then you go to page 210. You want to read, Susan?
Just the very-
22, number 22.
When the 6th day came, what they had gathered was a double portion of bread, 2 omers for each individual. All the leaders of the community came and told Moshe about it. He said to them, This is what Adonai has said. Tomorrow is a day of rest, Adonai's holy Shabbos. Bake what you want to bake and cook what you want to cook.
Now he told them, oh, by the way, you finished?
And whatever is left over, put aside for yourselves to preserve it until the morning.
That Rashi points it out, the first Rashi, and told Moshe about it on page 211, back to page 211, the beginning of the top of the Rashi, right in the first line of the Rashi. Yeah.
And told Moshe about it. They asked him, what is different about today from the other days? From here we may learn that Moshe had not yet told them the section pertaining to Shabbos, which he had been commanded to tell them.
He didn't tell them that.
Yeah, but there's a problem. Because they have a double portion on that day, but it's not labeled with my name on it. So when I go out, I'm supposed to take only my requirements. They took double portions without being told.
Your question is written by Rashi. Very good question. Look on page 210 in the bottom, number 22. They gathered the double portion. Mr. You want to read?
Oh. They gathered double bread in their tents. They measured what they gathered, and they found it to be twice as much. 2 omers.
You understand? They didn't gather more. They gathered.
It was twice.
Everybody came and gathered. They didn't have measurement exactly how to gather. They might gather. They come to double the size. What's going on here? Moshe Rabbeinu said, "Oh, I have something to tell you. At Shabbos tomorrow." Moshe didn't tell him. I have an explanation why Moshe didn't. Rashi says he was punished. There is an explanation why Moshe didn't tell him. You know why? I'll tell you why. If you offer advice, an answer to somebody who never asked you a question, you will not remember it. I tell people, there is certain information I only share with them when they ask for it. If they don't ask for it, means they are not ready to hear it. And if they will hear it, they will forget, or they get angry. Many people are eager to offer religious information to people. Oh, you know, this is not allowed. Don't tell them. When he will ask, it means that he is ready. People come and tell me, 10 years I am here by you and I don't even know about this law. I said, oh, now you ask, now we'll tell you. Because the whole idea, one of the ways of teaching, of education, is to create what is all Pesach. We are making strange things that the kids will ask why, then we'll give them an answer. Why we need to do strange things? Just sit down, tell them the story. Nobody cares. They'll start to roll you their eyes. Again is coming the father with another lecture. That's what I need now. Then you do strange things. When you do strange things, why are we reclining? Why matzah? What's going on the table today? More? Why are we dipping parsley in salt water? That's a question, right? And I said, when they ask a question, when you catch their attention, then you give them an answer, it means something. Same thing Moshe Rabbeinu said. If I come and tell them there is Shabbos, they don't have Shabbos. They found double months. They run to Moshe, hey, what's going on? Oh, you know what did it say? No, they remember. You bet they remember. This is the way to educate people, children and adults and anybody, is to create them, to grab their attention. They should ask, what's going on here? Then you can give them an answer. If you come with a lecture, nobody wants to hear you. That's why almost every speech and everything in the world starts with a question. Then say, oh yeah, really, I never thought about it. Oh, now when you wake you up, now we can give you an answer. But if I don't have a question, I don't need an answer. Don't offer information, somebody is not ready for it. The previous Rebbe tells stories that his father is to give him lessons. Once he was standing by the window looking outside. His father passed by, told him, you know, it's better to stand outside and look inside than standing inside and looking outside. You understand? He didn't call him to his room, he told, give him a lecture, you know, on a regular Tuesday afternoon, you know, it's better to. When he was there and the opportunity arrived, once it was two brothers, one of them later became the 5th Chabad Rebbe. The younger brother was taller, the older brother was shorter. But the older brother felt bad that he's shorter, that he told the younger brother to dig a hole, and he put him inside. He said, no, I'm taller than you. Father passed by, he tells him, you know, if you want to make yourself taller than your brother, don't make him lower, make yourself higher. And that's an amazing lesson. We usually make ourselves feel good when we put other people down. Elevate yourself. Maybe you'll feel better. You'll be higher. Again, he didn't call the two brothers no and said, I have an amazing thought to share with you. They would never remember anything. Maybe they would, in general. You utilize the opportunity. That's what Moses did here. He asked a question. And this question, he created a situation that they asked a question, and that's what led to that. I wanted to tell you a lot about the 4 groups by the sea. Mm-hmm. The bottom line was the Jewish people were afraid of the water, and God told them, go. They tried to pray, they tried to escape what they're supposed to do. God said, sometimes you have to just do what I tell you. Not sometimes, all the time. If God gives you a direct order, you're not afraid, you go. Sometimes prayers can be an escape too.
Was there a meet at night?